Friday. I hope you all have wonderful plans with your family for the Easter weekend that is coming up. I hope you've had a wonderful Good Friday and everybody is headed into a good weekend. I wanted to pop on today because I did not have time to get to typing out a post, and I really wanted to pay kudos and thank you to the local utility company here in Greenville, South Carolina. So Duke Energy came overnight to my home. Y'all know me. You know, I was trained in guest services at the Disney store in Santa Barbara, California. And you go above and beyond for the client each and every time. And I still to this day believe that. And I hope you all recognize that in my business and see that of me each and every day. Today, I had an amazing opportunity to actually have another organization do that for me. And because it was after hours, I really wanted to share. So I was woken up at about 3 a.m. this morning. So I may look a little tired. It ended up being a much longer day than I anticipated. And my mom came into the room and asked me to turn off the alarm system through my phone app. So I knew something was up. And she said the house was without power. Now, I knew that wasn't necessarily a true statement because my clock and the little light on the TV was on in my room. So there was power. And when I pulled up my phone was still at 100%. So clearly the phone was still charging. So my room had power. So I walked outside, got up out of bed, walked outside to the loft area, turned on the light switch, and sure enough, the lights came on. So my mom looked a little confused. And she's like, no, like we don't have power. So I went downstairs to figure out what was going on. And sure enough, half of the house, probably not half, probably like 20% of the house, the exterior wall and the garage and certain sections of a wall in the kitchen, but not all of the kitchen, and certain sections of my mother's bathroom did not have power. And the lights in the kitchen that were working were kind of flickering and things. Now, if you know me, you know I suffer migraine, so I had to ask my mom if those were really flickering lights or if at 3 a.m. like I was experiencing some of the visual aura symptoms of migraine and really couldn't tell for myself. Sure enough, she answered yes, the lights were indeed flickering. So I took the flashlight because the garage was not functioning. The garage door opener was functioning, but no lights in the garage were functioning, and went out to the circuit breaker box. Nothing looked like it had tripped, but I know sometimes it can trip and it doesn't flip over the whole way. So I reset every circuit in the house, and that did nothing. So I came back in, started playing with some of the GFI switches. That did nothing. It was 3 a.m., figured wasn't going to get a hold of anybody, and came back upstairs. Well, needless to say, it was on my mind and I was not getting back to sleep because of it. And so I came back downstairs, and underneath our sink is a sticker from the builder that gives us all of the emergency contact numbers. It is a holiday weekend and I recognize this. And I was trying to decide at 3 a.m. when I was sleep deprived if a partial house without power was an emergency situation. The fridge was working. We had basic like power. I honestly don't know if the heat was working or not. And I decided, okay, I was going to call the emergency number and see what happened. So I called the first number and explained the situation to the person that answered. And I was told that is not an electrician responsibility. That is probably the power company. And at this point, I'm a little skeptical. If you know me, I've had good and bad experiences with the builder of this home, and pretty bad experiences with the same builder in Texas. So I was a little skeptical. And so I asked the final question before hanging up. And that was, if they come out or on the phone, they tell me it's your problem, then who do I call? It's a holiday weekend. It's a Friday before a holiday weekend. I do not want to go into the holiday weekend without power. So I politely hung up the phone, pulled out the phone app to find the number for the power company, and proceeded to call them. I got on the phone with them and went through the phone tree a number of different times. My lights are flickering, and I have no power in half the house does not register really well in their automated phone tree. And it took a couple of times before it recognized, let me transfer you to a live person. The gentleman that answered the phone, super, super kind, listened and was like, yeah, that probably sounds like, we might have a feeder line problem. And so let me take down your address and I will be right back with you. I'm going to go run some tests on the meter. And he came about a minute or two later and was like, yep, the meter's reading. There's definitely a power problem going on. I'm going to dispatch a team. And within 25, 30 minutes, the team had arrived. They were outside. That gentleman, a team of one, that gentleman worked his butt off on the chilly ground, crawling around, digging some holes, found the line, got it all replaced and things. But I just want to say, I had gone out, we still had some power problems. I was flipping, we had one wall that just wasn't coming back on. And I learned there was a very unique GFI configuration between all the different light switches. And some of them would not have been apparent because the rooms weren't even necessarily right next to each other, but they impacted switches in other rooms. But needless to say, when I came out as he was finishing up and I said, thank you, but we still had one wall out. He's like, well, let me go back. Everything was reading right. And I will go do another read. When he was finished, he knocked on the door. He's like, sure enough, the meter is reading. There's perfect power. You are very much underutilizing the power load that it can handle. And I'm not sure what else I can do at this point. So it's like, okay. So at that point, I had power restored. Again, I was woken up about 3 a.m. I don't know what time the power actually went out, but I was woken up at 3. And by 6:45, we had power fully restored. We had a new feeder line to the meter box, and all was well and working. So I just really, truly want to kudos out to Duke Energy here in the Greenville area. You did an awesome job. Your crew, gentleman out here, was super kind and super helpful. Gentleman that answered the phone, very accommodating, took care of things right away. And I just very much appreciate it. In this day and age, you don't always necessarily get the best customer service from everybody, and you guys were spot on. Way to go. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.